So what is going on, everyone? This is Jack, OATz the GOAT. You either know or you don't. Alright, first things first, I just want to apologize. I did not expect the live stream to not work, like, at all. I don't really know what the issue was. I'm still kind of looking into it. I've been playing with it for like 3 hours now, and really nothing's changing, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that anytime soon, which sucks, because I was really looking forward to it. Yeah, I'll keep messing around with it, and maybe I'll just I'll try different streaming services and see if that works better with YouTube, because right now OBS is clearly not going to work for me. But yeah, let's get into it. I still haven't really read it. I've seen some of the spoilers, but I haven't seen much of the translation, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. So no intro, no nothing, just straight into it. So let's do it. So right now we have Dante laid out. All right, we know he got beat. It looks like Asta's arm is kind of like fizzing and fading away. It doesn't, I don't know if it's going to completely subside or what. I kind of hope it doesn't. I kind of hope it puts him in a tougher spot, because the Clover Kingdom was already like up in arms over the horns that he had, and they were temporary while he was using the anti-magic. So if that doesn't go away, they're definitely not going to be like rocking with this kid whatsoever. But yeah, it looks like it's going away. And then Asta falls into Yami's arms, and he's like, "Well done, you nutcase." And it's nice. And like I said, I've seen some of the spoilers already, so I know this is really this picture hits really hard, because it's the last time he's going to be with Yami for a very, very long time. I'm assuming. Yeah, so like everyone's they're coming out to cheer for them, and Gauch gets up. I think Gauch is just like messing around. He was like playing, because he's like, I really don't, I don't want to be in this fight, because that guy is a demon. He is Lucifer. Yeah, I'd lay down until the coast is clear too. To be honest, I don't want that smoke. All right, so he gets up, and then Gray, of course, is just all over him already, and Vanessa's like, "What's going on over there?" But Yami is not rejoicing and having fun just yet. He's walking over towards Dante, and he's saying, "We got to tie this dude up. He was a massive problem, and if he gets up, it's over." Right? So I like the way he's thinking. That's captain level thinking. All of them are displaying a lack thereof of this. Of course, they're just really happy that they're not dead, but they do have to be planning ahead for worst case scenarios all the time. They're knights. So I'm glad someone has wherewithal to say, like, all right, let's get this dude tied up before he gets up. And he picks up his grimoire, it looks like. He's saying that we nabbed the top devil host, and that he gave him one hell of a scare, pretty much. But I kind of like this about Yami. This is pretty consistent with like what he did with Veto. How once he killed Veto, he came back to the body and paid his respects and said, "Well, thank you," because if not for Veto, his team wouldn't have had that experience to grow stronger. So, and on top of that, it's just like, it's a life at the end of the day. So, you do respect it, and it's fitting for a swordsman. That's respect is everything. Not just as a swordsman, but in martial arts especially, just respecting your opponent, no matter whether you win or lose, no matter how you feel about that opponent, you will always bow and show your respect. So I like that they do this with Yami a lot. But of course, Zeno pops right in, just right up in Yami's face, like, "Yo, what's up, bro? What's up, my brother?" And then ties him up with the bones already. Like, there's no time to move. And yeah, Yami's like, "I messed up. I can't move." And they're looking at William, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Like this has got to be one of the worst sights to see as a Clover Knight. These are roughly two of your best. We know William was already touted to be the next up as Wizard King. And he's just up there like a shish kebab, and Xenon is untouched. And now they have Yami, who killed the devil in one shot. He killed a amped up elf Veto in one shot. Like, like there's no hope. Like, what hope do you have left? And then your main character no longer really has immunity right now because he's got no power left, right? So they have Finral, and he's saying the Tree of Clip-Off will link this world to the underworld to create it. They need an arcane dark magic and world tree magic. So this is something I already know, but he's analyzing how bad the situation really is because now they have both. And then Xenon says he's holding Dante, and he's saying the magic fluctuations concern me, so I came to look into it. You said all that, and then you lost. You're hopeless. So one thing I'll say about that panel specifically right now, the imagery, number one, is awesome. I like just face value. It looks like 4 fingers holding Dante. I like that. I think that looks really cool. But also, it doesn't look like it's... I don't know how you would explain that. It looks more like of a solemn moment for Xenon. Looking down at his older brother's limp body, and he doesn't really show much emotion outside of psychopathy, like we saw with and I think there's a reason for that. Let's read more of this chapter, and then I'll circle around to it. Hopefully I remember. Remind me. Okay. So he looks up. He sees Finral holding Asta, and he zooms in on Asta. So he's looking at his arm, and I think he knows, like, that's a devil. And so he shoots a bone at him, and then Finral doesn't really block it. He redirects the bone. So he puts a portal up, and he goes right behind them. I think that's a cool thing. And also, like, not even 2 chapters ago, maybe 3, Finral was really coming down on himself really hard, and that was something I pointed out, and something that I knocked points off of the chapter for, is because Finral didn't go get help sooner, and he realized that he should have done that, and then it was, by the time he realized he should have done it, it was way too late. So it's just nice to see him hop into action and not be paralyzed by fear, and this is a really good mindset development within just that 2 chapter span. For Finral, because again, he was paralyzed before, and now at least he's able to defend himself and his comrades. So that's cool. One thing, I know it seems like it come down hard on Finral lately, but like, he's got this really cool magic, and it was really cool that he redirected it, but like, maybe redirected to like in front of Xenon's face. I don't know. Like, I thought they could have ended the problem right then and there. They better be lucky I don't have fucking magic, because I'd end everybody right now. Headshots all day. We're not going for like we're cutting people's necks off. All right. All right. So yeah, he redirects the bone, and Xenon's hand starts trembling, and he's thinking of and he said, maybe it's good that I got him early. Now I don't know what to make of this. I see a lot of people assuming a lot of stuff. There is nothing. I had to read that chapter back, not that chapter, but those chapters back when I saw this spoiler, because I was like, did I maybe miss something? Like, did actually connect? I'm not too sure if I did or not. So when I read it back, he never connected. He didn't get close. He got close to Xenon, but that was because Xenon let him. Even with Yeno's best spell, the Spirit of Zephyr, he even says, like, he can't go any further because Xenon's bones were regenerating faster than the sword could cut. So after that, Xenon hit him with the monozone and stabbed him and just left him. There was no real connect as far as goes. So what that leaves me with is more of a mental thing that has Xenon somewhat shook right now. And if I were to like dive super deep into this, I would say this goes back to when Xenon was taking over the Spade when he killed Yuno's father and mother. I am willing to bet like that expression that has, it's very fierce, and I bet Xenon is connecting that face with his father's face, and it'll be really curious to see how close of a slaughter that really was, because I mean, we know that talent in a lot of anime, but also Black Clover, talent is inherited in a lot of cases. So is not just this good for no reason, of course. So this could really be just bringing back memories for Xenon, and that could have been more of an uphill battle than Garderoy made it seem, because Garderoy was like, yeah, we slaughtered them, Xenon got him, and that may not have been the case, but that's what I would assume off of that. But there's definitely nothing physical happening, because didn't do anything to Xenon, not even close. But yeah, let's keep going. All right, so he's like, I'd rather take that one out as well, but it's time. So he says it's time, and there's so many ways to interpret that, because it's like, is it time to carry out the plan? Like, we got both our objectives. There's no need, and we know Xenon he's not really the type to mess around like Dante and Vonica are. Like, once the objective's done, I'm out. We're good. Just like he did in the Golden Dawn. Got William, and he was probably going to leave until Klaus and Latoya got in the way. But that could be it, or it could be the fact that there's a time limit on how long they can siphon power from the devils in the underworld. So if that is the case, then that means they abide by some similar rules that Asta had to just now, where he had 50 seconds. And I would assume that is the case, because the amount of magic that they are all using from their devil it's pretty out there. So I bet it's more of like, we can't hold this form any longer. And if that is the case, then that is first-hand admission that base form then really can't handle this job. So that could be it. And oh, speaking of time, these are all roughly going on around the same time. I had to do like little like rereading, and it's like the way it's written, that's why anime is good, so that they can actually do this in like nice cuts to where it looks like, yes, this is happening around the same time. Where Vonica's, she started her battles later than Dante and Xenon, and also finished a bit later. Dante being the second latest in both start and finish, with Xenon being first to reach his objective and then finish. So I'm assuming around the time he pops up on the field, is just getting reached by Ralph, or maybe a little bit after that. So that's not a ton of time, because we know Xenon and Garderoy and Foyal, I don't even know if I want to say those battles took more than 20 minutes. That was like in and out. That was, what, 3 chapters? Yeah. So if that is the time limit that they have, there's a lot of room for these guys to win, but they're going to need to survive for that entire time and be able to save enough mana, or in Asta's case, energy, to be able to keep fighting them. So let's keep going. So Xenon's like, all right, it's time to dip. Gauche is like, hell no. So he just launches an attack like right off rip. Gauche is good for this stuff. He's quick on his feet. It's good that he's a ruffian. Like, he's a true to heart ruffian. He was born and raised on the hard streets of the Clover Kingdom. But there was 0 time wasted into setting up an attack. Even Vanessa's jumping in action. And Henry. All right, guys, I was wrong about Henry, all right? He's not dead, of course. He launched a kamikaze attack on Xenon. Okay, you guys know I don't really like Henry that much. I think he's just more of like a gimmick, comic relief for the story. Like, his magic's okay. I just, like, I don't know. his characters, whatever. We haven't seen a lot of him, but for whatever reason, people like fell in love with the guy. I don't get it. And like I always say, not everyone's gonna have the same taste in the same thing. So, you know, you guys can like Henry. I have my right to not like Henry. I just think it's funny that, you know, everyone's magic is not really working. You know, the fastest, almost strongest magic, light magic, is not really working here. You know, and we just got done with like anti-magic barely working, and Yami's magic barely doing anything, and Henry being, you know, Henry was just like, you know what, nothing's working, I'm just gonna crash the damn Black Bull's bathroom into Xenon, which might sound like I'm making fun of the tactic, but I'm not, because Yami took so many dumps in there that toilet's probably arcane by now. So if it lands, no more Xenon, right? Henry's such a goat. Moving on. All right, so Asta is now begging the AMD, saying, "Devil, please, can you take more of me?" He's like, "Just lend me your power one more time." And that's a hard no. He's like, "Not possible. In the first place, your body can't move anymore. And as things stand, I can't make any more contracts with it. It's your fault for being weak." Ooh, yeah. That was sting. A little zest on that. So some interesting things within just 3 panels, which is what Black Clover's good for. So it was a hard no, and he's like, "Your body can't move anymore. And as things stand, I can't make any more contracts with it." So I want to know what that means. Like, as things stand, is it just because his body can't move, or is it something more? And if we look at the Triad, there's been this long-running theory that the Triad possibly had to give up a part of them to be able to maintain the power that of their respective devils, which could very well be true. And if that's the case, Asta obviously just gave up a whole entire arm. And maybe there's some stipulations as far as like, all right, I can only do this like once every 5 months or something. I don't know. It's just, it's tough to say, just because, again, we have 3 to 4 different types of possession now. And with Asta's devil not being in the underworld, and him being actually there just within the grimoire, makes this really tough to decipher. Like, you know, what rules are you abiding by in this situation right now? And these are obviously rules that cannot be broken. So I'm very curious to know what he meant by that. I don't know, but I do want to circle back once we get through this, what Xenon might have had to give up for his devil to give him power and all that. So we'll see. But it could just very well be the fact that Asta is actually too weak physically to be able to withstand any more contracts with the devil. We see with the Triad, before this arc really starts, Dante asking Xenon, so like, you're now getting used to the devil's power, and I have to assume that they had to do some rigorous training to be able to open up to get to these higher percentiles in using the devil's power. But anyway, we have Vanessa really struggling to get Rouge back up and running, and she's like, if I can just touch the captain just a tiny bit, and she launches the cat, and Xenon's just like, bitch, I don't think so, and sends them flying. So now they're just watching Yami getting taken into the void, and all that's left is Asta and the rusty sword. And that's where the chapter ends. So this last page of Yami looking at his team for the last time, that hurts. But I also do like it because it's his expression is like a silent surpass your limits. Of course, no one can do anything right now. They're all too weak. They're beaten up, battered, and bruised. Nothing's going to work. But you can tell on his face that he's still got faith in his team. And on top of that, he's got to save face. He's got to give them hope. You know, he can't just be like worried and slumped like some captains. But you know, it's a look of like, we'll do this. We're going to pull through. So the next thing that really sucks is Asta just watching. He's wide-eyed, looks pale in the face, like he's not believing what he's seeing. And this is going to be one of the biggest turning point for Asta. It was already a turning point before Yami actually got taken into the void, right? Where he told the AMD, like, you can take whatever part of me. I think he said you can take anything. You can take more of me. And he's like, you can take more of me. He really didn't care. He just wanted to be able to save Yami. And as well and good as that is, very altruistic, that could end up being his downfall later if the AMD really means some harm. And he could be putting a lot of people in danger just by relying on this power that he really shouldn't be relying on until he knows a little bit more about it, right? But some questions. I'm going to start with this one, where we have William and Yami now caught. All right, and they're going back to the Spade. They need the tree. They need the dark magic. And this is what unlocks the underworld. Great. That's all well and good. But how are you going to make Yami and William use their magic to do this? They're not going to do that willingly. That's for sure. William could probably break him. He was broken by an elf. Don't get me started on William. You guys, look. So maybe they can get William, but even if they did, they would still need Yami to finish the deal, and he's not going to do that. This dude will die for his country, and if not for his country, for just his friends and comrades. And since the world has his friends and comrades in it, he's not going to do that. So what's going to happen? So I came across this comment on Twitter. I don't know who did it. I don't think we ever followed each other. I kind of wish I took the name down, and so I could put it up here and give them credit. But someone said that Dante's magic could also maybe be used to maybe fuse with other people. And if that's the case, maybe he would be able to manipulate both William and Yami into using their magic. Because like I said, they're not going to do that willingly. Now there's another thing that's happening that I kind of address, right? If you look at my video on Grimoires and the purpose of them, I go over some things that were stated as like the rules of Grimoires that were also thrown by the wayside in the very first chapter, pretty much. So if we remember Revchi, trying to steal Yuno's grimoire, he alludes to an underworld, a black market, that people will pay for grimoires. Now, these grimoires are separated from the mage. So, like, the way this works is, like, you can take someone else's grimoire, like, in their sleep, but if you're not them, you can't use their magic because the grimoire didn't choose you, right? And if you die, your grimoire disappears. However, we see Revchi actually say, like, I've been doing this for, like, a year. Like, this is what they do. They pay top money for, like, rare grimoires. But on top of that, he was going to kill Yuno and take his grimoire. So how was he going to make sure the grimoire was going to disappear? So I bet something is about to be said about the grimoires more in depth, about how they can be used when they're separated from the mage. Now, if this is really the case, then the next question would be, well, why didn't they just take the grimoire from William and Yami? They're both out of capacity. They can just kill them and take it. That I don't know. So maybe there's more of a process than that. And maybe Revchi is more of a special case with his magic, for some reason, could maybe bypass those rules right then and there. But without him, I wonder if there's a more a rigorous, like, ritual or something that will do this. Now, speaking of rituals, there could also play a part in summoning demons and using Yami and William as vessels. Can they do that? I have no idea. Like, I'm really just talking right now. But we have to be open to so many possibilities right now, because right now it makes no sense for them to take these two mages that are not going to co-sign this idea and expect this plan to work. So they obviously have something lined up. Could be one of the things. All right, now let's go back to the picture where Xenon is holding his older brother Dante. Something that I think I can agree with, as far as everyone else saying it, is I do believe the Triad did have to give up something for their powers. You know, you don't just get these demonic powers for no reason, or for any small price for that matter. So when we look at the Dark Triad, not in the series, like in real life, the Dark Triad, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and I'm forgetting the other one, narcissism, where Dante would fall under narcissism. Yeah. Vonica, psychopathy, Machiavellianism for our boy Xenon. Now, I'm looking at the picture and I'm trying to think, like, they don't do facial expressions for nothing, and like I know there's no actual face on Xenon in this picture, but that's also a good artist tool to show like this is just like a different feel of something going on, and it's not just straight face Xenon. And something that I was thinking about is these guys are around 500 plus years old, right? They have literally watched the world come and go in many generations, and at this point they are all each other has. And Xenon is looking down at his oldest brother, who is not conscious. I mean, could have been killed in that fight, and it looks like Xenon is trying to feel something, and he can't do it. And I think what's happening is one of the things Xenon had to give up was really a sense of self, feelings, and all that good stuff, right? And I think he's aware that he should be feeling some type of way, but he's not, and he can't. He's incapable. Now, something that I think further supports this is this next little panel of Xenon's hand trembling by remembering this is I feel like it's his body knowing that how would you explain this? It's more like a on a very, very deep, very subconscious level that you should be feeling something and you're not, but however your body is still responding in the way that it should in that certain situation. So this could be Xenon actually, like, his body is just physically kind of shook. I don't want to say scared, because I mean there's nothing really did to make him scared, but his body is reacting that way. And something that a lot of people pointed out is Xenon is always hiding his hands. He's been hiding his hands for a long time. And it could be that prior to, being possessed by the devil and giving up whatever part of himself that's possibly making him lack emotions, is that he was actually not a fighter before all of this. He was maybe reluctant to battle people, and he might have a softer side to him. And I want to go back to, again, these guys are old. They've seen everyone come and go. That means their parents and all their friends and family are all gone, we have to assume. So imagine watching like one of the last things that you have in a state like that. And I wonder, like, if something tragic happened to all of them, to maybe their family in the past, to where they gave up on humanity and just like, you know what, we don't mind seeing it all burn, and we'll help you. I bet that is exactly what's happening. I bet they were all very lovey-dovey siblings, and they got screwed over somehow. I don't know. Put that on my tab. But I'm very sure that's what's happening. And I know that's a lot to get off one picture, but if you go to my very, very first video, I based a lot of my theory off of the facial expression Lumiere has when killing the demon that looked spawned. That was the basis of my entire theory, and it turned out to be completely true. So, and I said this in the beginning of this arc too, I think Xenon will come around in some shape, form, fashion, whatever. I think he will come around. But for now, he's a problem, and Yuno needs a rematch. Finral and Longreese are going to have to fight this guy with maybe Vanessa. I would love to see like a steroid veto battle where they had Asta, Finral, and Vanessa. Like, imagine Longreese erasing bones that Yuno's sword cannot cut, or anyone's magic can't cut for that matter, except for probably Asta, of course. But having Longreese provide that sort of support, maybe even wiping out some portals that Xenon would make, and then also having Finral open and close portals at the right time to redirect some attacks, and also put Yuno through some portals to connect, and it could get wild. And with Vanessa on the field, I mean, just enhancing the movement and making sure no one dies. I don't know how you're going to beat a team like that. So I'm hoping that's what we see. But that would be really interesting. This was a good chapter. I would say 8 out of 10. It's 8 out of 10 just because Henry decided to throw a bathroom at Xenon. And, there's nothing that says that's a bathroom. I'm just blowing things out of proportion. I'm just being a hater right now. But, I mean, like, I get it. He was doing everything he could to save his friends, and that's a really good thing to do as a comrade. But a bathroom, my guy? Come on. But no, this is a really good chapter. Again, I'm always going to say this at the end of pretty much every chapter. I can't wait to get what we get next week. It'll probably go back to the Heart Kingdom. And if it does, we're in for some shit. But before I go, I actually wanted to talk about Xenon's potential devil and what he's all about. So I just did some random reading. I was like, all right, I've got to do a lot of reading because there's more. There's actually more that Tabata refers to other than Norse and Kabbalistic lore and all that stuff. And I've just been procrastinating because it's a lot of. It's a lot. This next one is going to be much harder to interpret. But I was looking at some Japanese and Chinese lore. So the name of this character in this lore is Katsutaka. Now, Katsutaka is a warrior that was approached by some villagers to help them kill this giant snake that was pretty much running their village dry and eating the residents and all that. Huge snake breathed fire and all of that dragonistic stuff. And he ended up being given this sword. I forget what it was called, but the sword was very important to the downfall of the snake. And the reason why I bring it up is because we do have some clips in the clip-off where I forget their name, but they're the ones who bear the snakes. But this could also fall under the fiery ones. But as I was reading more into it, it was like, okay, well, he never dies, actually. He defeats the snake, and he's this renowned warrior. And I believe the village named bridges after him and that, whatever. But one of the things that was noted about this particular character, Katsutaka, is that he was not the greatest looking guy. He was pretty ugly. As they said, he was pretty ugly. And he resembled a character from Chinese lore, and that character's name is Shoki. Now, Shoki was, again, a very ugly guy. Shoki, I guess his name ends up translating to the demon queller. Now, as I'm watching this video back, I'm realizing that this legend or lore better fits the demon dweller sword. Go figure. Demon queller, demon dweller. But as I go on, keep that in mind. And his job within the era that he was in, or the kingdom or village that he was in, was to keep people healthy and really to ward off evil spirits from ailing people. Now, there's a lot of different ways this story was interpreted over time, but one of the more noted things that is in most of those interpretations is that there was a contest that was held between a lot of medical practitioners, and whoever would win this, there'd be a group of maybe, I think it was like 5 out of this whole group of people that would actually get licensed to keep practicing their medical practices. And he ended up losing. And he was so devastated by this that he wouldn't be able to practice anymore that he killed himself. And the residents of the village and the emperor himself felt really bad, and so bad that they actually licensed him after death. And what happened with that was that he ended up coming back as a spirit, and he pretty much carried on his duty, making sure that evil spirits did not come in and ail the residents, but more namely the emperor and the royal families that would come after that. So he was pretty much a spirit that was passed down to make sure that there were no demons that were going to cause harm to the royal families. And with the Zogratis being a royal family, I'd assume they would be, right? Kind of, I think. And him having this demon where him himself, he's kind of indifferent. He doesn't really mention all this chaos that he wants, and he wants the demons to come out. He always, almost always, just says for the benefit of the Spade Kingdom. He wants what's best for his people. He's an actual leader, from the sounds of it. Now, this all depends on what he does with Garderoy and Foyal. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was really cool, especially with the sword. He finished off with the sword, and his grimoire, you can tell it's bone magic, but it's weapons. He's got like axes and on there and all that stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. I think that's actually his demon's name or like who he is? No, I don't think so. Just wanted to share that. But one last thing, what he does or did with Garderoy and Foyal is very important, because if he did not bring them along and maybe assume they were dead or didn't really care, Garderoy and Foyal could be coming back as interrogation pieces, where we're probably going to get a lot of information out of them. And then we'll also see if this power that they get from the devils is truly limited on time. Because after this, if Xenon's saying time is up and that's what he's referring to, then I'm assuming the disciples are probably going to run out of power as well. So we'll see if Garderoy and Foyal drop the beans, although I'm pretty sure Foyal got wrecked, like riggedy wrecked. But Garderoy might be okay. We'll see. We'll see. But he could have very well just took them through the void. But yeah, I know this was a really long react review, whatever. But again, I apologize that live didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. I will keep trying. If I get to work, that's what I'm going to be doing next week. If I don't get to work, I'll just be doing more of this. Probably just a review instead of a whole react review, unless you guys like this better. But you gotta let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know what you thought of this chapter, where you think it's going to go from here. A lot of things can happen right now. So if you thought anything I said was interesting, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe, or if you thought I'm just sounding like a friggin' idiot the whole time, which I normally do, give it an unlike, unsubscribe, block me, send me to jail, report me to the FBI. Do whatever you gotta do. Whatever you gotta do that makes you happy. But thank you for tuning in regardless. This has been Jack Goes to Go. Please follow me on Twitter. You either know or you don't.